Hey David, how are you?
Ahsan, great to see you and a great topic to be talking about together.
Yes,
We did it.
yes,
Persistence.
yes,
Persistence. Hmm.
yes. Hey Melissa, how are you? Okay, share it out, Melissa. And okay, trauma. So, how do you define trauma?
I think of trauma as a force. Here's a person, and the force impacts that person, and the force, the power of that impact is too big for the person to process. That means I can't hold, deal with, make sense of, even feel necessarily all of what impacted me. And then my system gets overloaded. You put weight in my hands, and now it got to be too much, and I can't hold it anymore. And then my system shuts down and does certain things.
Yeah,
Like some people would talk about dissociation. That means some part of me says, I'm not here for this. This is too much for me.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it impacts everyone. You know, I have two thoughts about that, Hassan. One is people are different by their natures. Some people are more, you can hit them and it's like, that's okay, that doesn't hurt me very much. Another person feels that pain more. So that's one thing. That's not a good or bad thing. It's not a judgment. It's just true. Because some people are more sensitive, but their sensitivity may be a gift. I feel
yes,
something. I notice things other people don't notice. But that person might get more impacted by that force. When another person might be less sensitive, that's good when it comes to trauma, but not so good that they are insensitive to things in life. So that's one thing, is a person's nature. And the other thing is how a person, the culture and family a person is raised in. If you have lots of love in your life, love means I see you, I care about you, I do my best to protect you. It matters to me when you're suffering. I joy when you feel good. If you're in a world, a family, a world where you matter a lot and people care about you and witness your suffering in a way that they want to protect you, that internalizes. You start then walking around thinking, I'm an important person, I'm a relevant person, I matter. And if the person has a lot of that I matter, that love inside of them that they've internalized, then they tend to respond to traumatic events easier and better. Yeah, exactly. It's a nature and nurture thing. Some people are just different, like animals are different. And then some people have different experience and amount of love and care and protection around them that they've taken in. Yeah.
yes. Hey Riley, yes, you are loved. Thank you.
I was, yeah, physically, because if something has impacted a person and they can't process it means feel it, notice it, cry over their hurt, say, fight back and scream about it. If they can't express and process all that energy, then one thing that happens is that energy, that impact, what we call somatizes. Soma means body. The body starts feeling it. So then I can get physical symptoms from that. Those symptoms might be tensions. Look, right? So now look at my shoulders and my body. So now my shoulders are very tight. And I may not walk around like this all the time, but if I have that energy, the frozenness energy in my muscles, then I could get back aches and neck aches and headaches, things like that. Or if I watch this one, something traumatic happens to me. See our teeth, my mouth. So now I'm grinding down, and that person might get TMJ, then this joint might get sore, they might get headaches, they might get migraines, and other kinds of physical symptoms that people can't deal with things. The body always expresses part of what's happening. And then, as you say, there's emotional or psychological element, emotional elements, feelings that I have. or feelings that I can't have. For instance, I may have dealt with a big impact by becoming numb. I don't feel anything. So then you could smack me and I could say, I don't know. Or you could ridicule me. And I might say, I don't know, I didn't feel anything. It still does, but I'm numb. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I turn my feelings off. I don't know what's happening. I don't know. I don't remember anything. I don't feel anything. Or on the opposite side, Ahsan, a person could get frozen into a very excited state, not numb, but like this, right? So then you come near me. What'd you do? Why'd you say that, right? So I'm having very big reactions to little stimuli because my system is set at a very high level. So that could happen emotionally. Some people have anxieties in the background, fears. Somebody might have had an early trauma from, let's say, abuse or sexual abuse as a child, and then they might get into an abusive relationship. And you might say, David, why are you putting up with being treated that way? And I might say, what way? I don't notice anything. How come to you, you kind of go, that looks terrible, David, you're being treated awfully. How come I don't notice? A part of my system has turned off. Yeah.
And what are other...
You're saying two ways. Well, let's add some more. The two ways you're saying is one, the soma, the body. I get symptoms, or my immune system is worn down because I'm constantly dealing with things. So that means I'm more susceptible to viruses because I'm worn down because I'm constantly wrestling, fighting off an inner experience that may make me more susceptible to certain things. Or like I said, cramps and tensions and other kinds of things that could happen in a person. So that's one thing. Or if a person was sexually abused, if a woman was hurt in her genitals, in her vagina, then she might get symptoms there. She might get pain there, or symptoms there, or infections in that spot. Does that make sense? The spot that get hurt, that spot that gets traumatized could do that. And you're saying emotional things. And some people have relational symptoms. That means that I enter relationships that are either, like I said, I'm numb to things, or I'm repeating patterns of that traumatic event. So now I could enter, or I don't notice certain things, or I treat other people like my abuser, traumatizer treated me. So that means you ask me a question, and I think, oh, that's an interesting question. But if I've been traumatized by some authority figure, you might ask me a question. I might say, oh shit, I better get this question right. I better get this question right. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know what the odds are, Ahsan, but it's one of the things a person does. You see, if this is me and you're bigger than me, and you hurt me and I can't handle that. If you hurt me and I say, screw you, don't hurt me, that's not a traumatic event. We're just having a conflict. It doesn't look good. I got hurt. Maybe I hurt you back, but no trauma. But if you hurt me emotionally or psychologically or physically or sexually in some way that's so powerful I can't deal with it, now I'm in a difficult place. Now, what will my system do naturally if I don't process that and get help over months or maybe years? If I don't get help, what can I do? Well, here's a big monster that hurt me, big force that hurt me. I could either drop all the way down, I'm just a little thing, I don't want to say anything, I'll never talk back to anybody again, I'll never disagree with anybody, I'll just be nice all the time. Why? Because I think that's going to protect me. That's one option. But another option, Ahsan, to get out of this spot is I think, you know what? If I'm the bigger person, then I don't feel this anymore, right? I don't feel like the little person next to a bigger person or a big force or a social power. I don't feel like a little person. Now I could feel like a big person if I was next to a smaller person. Then I start to feel like, so if I got next to a child and I feel much bigger, I can say, do what I tell you. And while I'm acting out that big power, I don't feel myself a little thing, I feel myself like a big thing. And when I
Big
feel
thing.
myself like a big thing, I'm out of touch with the pain of that trauma. I'm in another side. So that's a natural occurring thing. Some people are more likely to do that than others. Yeah.
Does it
That's
make
possible.
sense?
Yes, it makes a lot of sense. That's one option, but we have to say, Ahsan, that many people go through awful, terrible traumatic experiences and do not turn into an abuser also. Many people
Yeah.
do. So we can't make the conclusion, oh,
Yeah.
if you're hurt, you'll do that. Or if you're doing that, you must have been hurt. Not always. Sometimes,
No,
but not always. Sometimes I work with a family, two brothers, and one becomes a bully and the other doesn't, and they both got hurt. Why? How? I don't know why, to be honest, but it's not always happens that way. Some people become bullies and some people become very sensitive, and some people become healers and want to make the world better.
Yes.
For everybody.
It is different. It is impacting all of them differently.
It's right. That's right. Or they could be in a war zone. That could be very traumatizing. And a parent could get traumatized and not know what to do with that. And a child might try to help everybody. How are they able to do that? I don't know. But it can happen. Yeah, some people learn. Some people learn. Yeah, like I said, some people learn because others treat them badly. They learn to treat others badly, but not only. Some people, I don't know why, but some people don't learn that. They get a different lesson. They say, let's make everybody's world safe. Yeah, some people are like that. What was his name? Oh, I'm forgetting the name. A African-American boy. I think it was around 1955. I'm forgetting the name. But it'll come to me later. And he, according to some people, he flirted with a woman. He looked at her or something, and then they found him and they beat him and did terrible things to him and left his body in a river. Days. So his body got swollen. He was dead. His body swelled up from the water. And they found him, and his mother saw him. Now imagine a mother or a father seeing their child disfigured, maimed, very traumatic. And the mother held a funeral, and she said, I want the coffin to be open for everybody to see this body in this way. And she said, she went up to the lectern to speak, and she said, I don't have a minute to hate. I'm gonna look for justice for everybody for the rest of my life. How come? Why did she become that? Why didn't she go out and say, I'm gonna be the big person next? So that's also, some people have that in their capacity to become like that. Yeah.
Have it. Some people have it.
Some people have it. It's nature and nurture, meaning some people have it because they're raised and they're given a lot of love inside, so they have that. But some people, I don't know why, they're just born more able to do that. Not because they grew, not because they worked on themselves, not because they did a lot of therapy. They're just more, they take a big bang and they turn it into lots of healing energy. Some of it is mysterious. It really is mysterious, meaning we just don't know. We want to think, if I treat you in a certain way, then you won't hurt people, and if I treat you in this other way, you will. And I like to think that people like to think that because we think then we have control over it all, but we don't. You have a little bit. I should not hurt you, but that's not the whole reason. There are things that are outside of any of our impact. We just want to have more control than we actually have. Right? Yeah. There's great studies of large groups around trauma. I'm a Jewish man, and there's been a lot of the bigger studies about large scale trauma happened post-Holocaust because researchers went to people who said, whoa, you were almost dead, your children were killed, you were put into prison camps and abused. Can I use you in my research? Can I learn from you? What happened to you? What happened to your children? What happened to your children's children? So we started studying trauma and intergenerational trauma. That means
I've come across that.
That's right. All kinds of psychological symptoms that are related to trauma and stress. So somebody might present like a depressed person, or a person with bipolar disorder, or a person with other psychoses or neuroses. And if you study their background, you might find out that actually they were traumatized. So do they have a depressive disorder? Well, they might be depressed and need help. Or were they hurt? And we're starting to learn more and more that many people don't have psychological disorders in the way we think. They just may have been traumatized. Somebody is saying,
question. Question.
How do I remember trauma? I don't remember. I still wonder what happened. I can answer that. Yes. If a person doesn't remember trauma, there's a couple of things to say. One, some people think I need to remember visually in my memory what happened. That person did this. I need to remember all those things. That's not necessary to heal, because we always have a body. And if I spend time with someone, even if they can't remember this was there and Joe was there and what happened, and you can ask the person to relax and feel their body, and they'll tell you physical experiences. I'm tight in my chest. I feel like this. My hands want to close up. I want to run away. I feel a little frozen. And if you help a person feel those things, they may remember, but even if they don't, their body remembers what it felt like. They may not remember the outer details, but the body starts remembering what it felt like. And that's very important to be all you need. Yeah, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
The first thing I would say to anybody getting help or helping others is to learn to listen to a person's body and energetic feedback. What I mean by that, Ahsan, I don't mean feedback meaning I like you, I don't like you. Meaning the person's that's wanting help, their energy and body are always telling you whether you should go faster or slower, or whether you're going in the wrong direction or the right direction. So you might say to me, David, can you tell me about your childhood? And I might say, watch this, Ahsan. I guess we could. That means no. Why? Because if I'm in a trauma situation, I can't consent. So you hear me kind of wanting to agree with you because you're asking me a question. I should be a good person, but can you hear all the reasons, the things that are coming out of me that are saying not yet? But maybe could we do it? Maybe that's a good topic. Let me think about that. And I'm closing my eyes on. So you see me partially starting to leave, and I'm not saying yeah, or that could be scary, but I'm open to that. That's a yes. But the person's constantly telling us, slow down, maybe not. Then I can say to that person, oh, let's slow down. We don't have to go into that. Let's slow down. What should we do? Let's talk about that first. And that is the healing. That is the healing for that person. It's not like we haven't done it, because now they're having somebody treat them with a certain kind of respect for what's right and wrong for them. So that person could learn that. That's a very big learning. So there's lots of messages that come from us as people who are working on our difficulties, or come towards us as healers that we have to pay attention to, because the person might not be able to say, Ahsan, that's really not a question I'm open to going into. Thank you very much. That person might not say that.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. And and then the question, remember, that trauma is this big impact that's too much for me. So if you say, David, I'm going to help you relive it, it may still be too much for me.
Yeah.
Well, it's not good for me to just be, we call that re-traumatized. If you want to say, let me hit you again the same way, you have no protection, no capacity to deal with it more than you did, I'm just going to get wiped out again. So it's not only so good to do that. Mm-hmm. And then you mentioned something else as part of the healing process. For many people, Ahsan, it's to begin telling the story as they know it, as much as they know it. And then as a healer, we have to learn how to listen to a story. That means not only do I listen to your words and hear you and care, right? And believe you. That's very important, because many people are not believed. But then also I pay attention to all the other things that you're communicating. Because if you say, I want to tell you about my father, and then I say, whoa, let's not go further than that. Something about, let's talk more about that. So again, while people are telling a story, they're also telling you how fast to go, whether to stop, whether I just said something that's really important, then you better slow down and ask me more about that, right? So listening to a story, listening to the conscious story that I'm telling you, and listening to all the messages I'm giving you. Yeah, I can tell you my story, right? So what? Okay, tell me your story, David. But while you're telling me, can you tell me a little bit about what you're doing there? Are you holding yourself? Are you stroking yourself? Are you squeezing yourself? Are you frightened? So you have to listen to the messages of a story, not just the words. So listening to a person's story and all of the pieces of the story, especially the parts that the person doesn't know yet. That's very important. What were you going to say? When in working with trauma, it's always important to hold a space of belief. Belief is two things for me. One is, I'm not here to question and doubt what you're saying. I'm not here to say that exists, that happened, that didn't happen, that exists, it doesn't. That's not my job as a healer. As a political person, we can argue. As a healer, I don't doubt what you're telling me. And that's one kind of belief. And the second kind of belief is, I believe in you. I believe that you're going to show me the way. If I pay a close attention, you're going to show me the way to your healing, what's actually inside of you. So I believe you and I believe in you. Both of those kinds of belief are very important. Ahsan, one day I was walking in the woods and on a trail, and a man jumped out of the forest and he said, "Did you see them? Did you see them?" And I said, "No. Where are they?" And he said, "They're in here." And I said, "Okay, let's go look for them." And I jumped into the woods and we started looking under branches together. And then he looked at me, he started crying. I said, "Why are you crying?" He said, "Nobody believes me."
Yeah.
Was there a person in there? I don't care. What I care about is healing him. I'm not there. I'm not the law enforcement to prove whether someone's there or not. I don't care. I'm there to offer him support. And I think he's having an experience, and it's a real experience. That's what the truth is, he's having a true experience. And that experience is the most important thing to me. I mean, people have to get close to their own. People have to believe themselves and believe in themselves. So if somebody says, "I don't want to know anything about my trauma, I need to stay away from it," then I would say stay away from it. Because pushing that person in is just going to be a difficult experience. So one, we have to realize it's not for everybody. Some people say, "That's way too much for me. In my lifetime, it may be too much for me. I hope my children or children's children or friends or other people we'll look at that. Look, I think I lost you, Ahsan. Oh, there you're back. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes trauma skips a generation, you know. I know that happened, not all Jewish families, but some Jewish families left Eastern Europe, came to the United States, and those parents were like, I don't want anything more to do with that. I just want to give my kids a good life without all that stuff. But then the children experience things. That happened around the use of the atomic bomb in Japan. Some people experienced the nuclear explosion, and it was a huge trauma. And some of those people said, I don't want anything to do with it. But their children or their children's children start having nighttime dreams.
Yeah.
That happened for victims and perpetrators, for Jews and Germans, for the Japanese and some Americans. So, and then within families too. So sometimes a person says, it's too much for me. Or they don't say it that way. They just say, nothing happened, I don't want anything to do with it. And we can't force them upon that. So that's one thing. But the other thing is, for people to care, to learn self-care, it's very useful to learn how to care about the body. That doesn't mean just eat well and things like that, but to learn how to care about oneself, how to soothe oneself and comfort oneself physically. That may mean curling up in bed. That may mean putting on a hot water thing. That might mean putting on lotion and stroking my arms. That might mean stroking my head. It might mean having warm tea in my hands. But it's a very simple level. Or putting on a sweater when I'm chilly. Some people get cold and they don't put on a sweater. So some people that doesn't matter. But if there's trauma around, doing very basic things. I'm hungry, have a little snack. I have to go to the bathroom. Try not to wait too long. I'm cold or I'm hot. Look, those simple things, caring about oneself as a body is a very beautiful thing. It's a very self-loving thing. Yeah. I think it's a gift. Some people, I don't have that gift.
Yeah.
I have a gift to look at nighttime dreams. If you tell me a nighttime dream, I have a gift in seeing things in it. But some people see things without those dreams. So I think just some people have more of a gift. People have different gifts.
Like some people,
Go ahead.
Yeah, some people are more sensitive.
This is a huge question, and not only an easy question to talk about in public. I will do it with you, but I want to tell you what's difficult about it. That sometimes people hurt each other, or use spiritual or religious ideas in ways that are difficult. For instance, one thing that many people are talking about these days is bypass or spiritual bypass. That must have happened because it was meant to happen, Ahsan. That's why that happened to you. Just forgive everything and it'll all go away. It'll all get better. So I'm acting like nothing really significant happened for you. I'm using a spiritual idea, not to have compassion and love and healing for you, but to make it all go away. So that's a difficult thing, and there's lots of conflict about that particular idea.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Some people.
Yeah, because it is.
Forgiveness is the counseling a person, advising a person to forgive when this trauma is often not helpful, especially early on. If you come to me and you never even realized you've been hurt, and we start talking and you kind of go, oh my gosh, David, I'm getting in touch with all this terrible things that happened to me. That's not a moment to say, learn to forgive. That's a moment to say, tell me more, right?
Yeah.
So the idea of forgiveness would be misused then, and it could hurt you. Or let's say I'm the person who hurt you. And you say, David, you really, really hurt me and it was very, very painful. And I say, you should learn to forgive. Well, I now have an investment. This is not an unbiased piece of advice. I'm warning you not to be upset with me, or to take me to court, or to be angry at me, or to want to hurt me back. So, and that often happens. Some people who hurt others say everybody should forgive. Well, so there's complications around that. And the last one I want to say is, if the hurt is still happening, right? Like some people say, in a culture that has racism, let's say, and people are still getting hurt and mistreated, and I say, forgive me, but tomorrow I'm going to treat you the same way. And I say, forgive me, and tomorrow, the next day I'm treating the same way. That's not right. That's painful. That's counsel that says, don't react and seek justice and stop me. I would say, don't forgive me, stop me. Right? Stop me from treating you this way. So, yeah.
It's a comment from Riley. I stopped caring about myself a few years back. I stopped eating and drinking. I didn't leave my bed. I stopped speaking English. Then I hit a I don't know, and very healing, not worse for it, really.
Great that she found a way. I never think I know the way for a person. And if a person says, this is the way that I found and it's been very good for me, and Ahsan, and they're saying to me, that was really good for me, I think it is. If they say, I think that was really good, yeah, maybe, then I'm thinking they're not so sure. Then I want to ask more. If a person says, this is what helped me, I bow. Good. Keep doing that. Stay with that. Lucky for you, fortunate for you that you found something that helps. But I'm glad that Riley mentions food, because some people start eating or stop eating. Some people eat a lot, and some people starve themselves.
Yeah, yes. It is also happens in.
Hi, my name is Dingo. Dingo is Dingo Dog. Dingo Dog experiences a big force. Somebody beats Dingo up, or Dingo goes out to war and sees people blown up, or Dingo is Japanese in 1941, 2, I can't remember when the bomb, 44, when the bomb came, and then experienced something awful. All kinds of possibilities. And Dingo goes, whoa, that's way over my head. I can't absorb that. And then Dingo gets symptoms, physical symptoms, frozenness, backaches, traumas, parts of the body that get illness, throats that get hurt, headaches. Not all of those symptoms can be trauma, but some of them may be. So we look to the body, we look to the soma, or gets emotional symptoms. I'm anxious all the time. Dingo says, I'm freaked out all the time. I don't know why, I'm just nervous. I'm nervous, I'm scared. Or I'm angry all the time. That's all I am. I only have one emotion, anger. Or I'm numb all the time. So then we think those are emotional symptoms, or relational. I keep on repeating relationship patterns that are difficult. So in summary, then a person that says, what do I want to do with that? Is it right for me to try to explore the possibility that big traumatic events impacted me and are still impacting my life? And if a person says no, then I say, don't do it. And if a person says yes, find some ways. And the main important things, talk to someone who is not going to force you. Not, I have the right idea. My way is the right way. This is the only way to heal trauma. That person's dangerous. I don't care what their method is, because everyone has different ways. So that pacing, then it's useful to have a person who knows how to work with the body, how to, it's a psychosomatic, says, how to ask the body, the soma, somatic experiencing, some people call that, how to ask the body for information so that we can get intelligent beyond what the mind remembers, and somebody who follows your pace, your speed, and doesn't make you feel like you're not worth believing in. That would be my bigger picture for the healing counsel.
Yes. And thank you